us look at the issue of insecurity in Nigeria, sequel to what is happening in southeastern part of the country, and with special reference to the statement that came from Anambra State Governor talking about Chukwuma Soludo while he visited US recently. I'm going to be looking at this retrospectively, looking at some events and those who were arrested in the past in the region as it has to do with kidnapping and terrorism. But that does not mean the governor may not have some level of classified information to enable say what he said. But the video I'm going to show you to watch capture moments a Fulani man, or rather some Fulani men, were captured by locals in the southeastern part of the country who were actually involved with kidnapping. I'm equally going to show you another video. The capture moment in Northerner was actually captured. Of course, this time around involving arms and, of course, the impunity with which he was talking. You shall watch all of this. But before I go into all of this, let us equally look at the statement that came from Anambra State Governor. He said, criminals terrorizing Southeast are Igbo, not Fulani. Soludo tell Anambra folks in US. You go for that to say that Anambra State Governor Professor Chukwuma Soludo has told Anambra indigenous residents in the US that criminals terrorizing Southeast were not Fulani but Igbo indigenous. There have been the notion that most of the kidnap activities taking place in the Southeast were done by Fulani terrorists living in bushes in the zone and disguising as herdsmen which intend to conquer. But addressing indigenous of Anambra in the US during a town hall meeting in Maryland, the governor insisted that 99.99% of criminals arrested in Anambra were not Fulani but Igbo. At this point, I will allow you to watch the first video that has to do with the moment some Fulani Militias were captured in Igbo land, in the bushes. Of course, you can clearly see from their faces and the way they speak how you can judge by yourself. Let us watch it as we come back to further this conversation.
How the body for Marina Barosso, Ekajidero Marina? Yeah? Yeah, we never have kidnapped ever. Never. Yeah, we do have kidnapped. What did they do? What that? If from Awka?
Yeah.
Okay, what did you call you going to do? What did they do? What did be a walk?
Okay.
What did be a walk?
May I kill what you offer? Eh?
What did be a name? What did they work for here? Babu Ngilishiko?
Bring Tambeka. May I paru Munkamaka? May I paru Munkamaka? What you have will catch you? What do you do?
Muntaone muda bokana mungu
kana woka na magana kana magana banza
What is your name?
Musa.
Musa. Musa who?
Musa.
Who?
Musa.
Musa who?
Musa.
What's your father's name?
Okay, Ibrahim.
Okay, your father's name is Ibrahim. Musa Ibrahim. Where are you from?
Awka.
Awka. What do you call you can do? Kidnapping. Now you kidnap people from Bakoya.
I follow this man. I do kidnap for this area.
Okay, now this one they do kidnap for this area.
My brother call me here.
Okay, now brother call you.
Die Goron.
Okay, die Goron.
That one,
the one where you name? The one where run? What you name of the one where run?
Mason now one day.
One day good.
Mason.
Ali.
Huh? Ali?
Yeah.
Okay, your brother name Ali. Don't wear on. We shall have start this work.
How many time now? Which time I start this work? How many years now?
How many years? Okay, this one will catch you now. Don't do
Who be Awka? Who be Awka?
Die Goron.
Igoron.
That one with the
Okay, that one with the run. Awka.
We go on a top two now. Why did you lie?
One day good.
Awka? Who be Awka?
Now, why they get gone? He there for Awka. Now in get your God, this boy. Why they do kidnap for here? Nine they get go. Nine they do kidnap for this area. That guy is there for Awka now.
Wait, what the name of
I
the
know
man?
they there now.
What your name?
Okay.
Your name,
I don't know. As is my name, Bine Awka.
You don't want to tell me your name?
Umar.
What is your name?
Umar. Yeah.
Umaru who?
One day I go to Ali Sunanji.
Ali?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
couldn't go.
don't go talk to him.
No one
You
say.
go talk to him.
Yeah, wait, no one say.
So the video you just watched is in retrospective manner. It happened in sometime 2024 because we are looking at this to juxtapose it with the statement that came from the Anambra State governor. I'm not saying the governor may not have level of classified information because as a governor he has some level of privileged information. But the point is, are we probably allowed to watch another video where, of course, a northerner was captured in Igbo land? You can see the impunity with which he was even speaking. But before we do all of that, let us even question how these northerners, talking about the Fulani Militias, how even the umbrella body of Fulani, talking about Miyetti Allah, in sometime 2024, was, or rather we are requesting that the Southeastern governors permit them to float security outfits that will govern the whole Southeast. Of course, according to them, it was to protect their own people. But I begin to wonder, how can people who come from far northern part of the country come to start making such requests? But before I go further, watch this video of that boy, or rather man, who was equally arrested sometime in 2024. I told you what we are doing is in retrospectively. So watch this video, we'll come back to do a proper perspective to this.
That one it is. This one. How many people there there? How many guns there there? Or you go shop? How many people? So we can go give those people. But you know we are then there.
So the question here is, how does it become fashionable for those, of course, who we understand are the last people that came into Nigeria, because they came around 14th century from Senegambia. How is it that have become fashionable that in everywhere they go, they want to dominate? They want to form security outfits. Because we understand that as it even stands, even their national chairman, talking about Bodejo, is in government custody. He was accused of banditry. And the federal government through Nigerian army arrested him and have secured court order to keep him for 2 months to enable them conclude investigation. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying he's guilty because the law says you are innocent or proven otherwise by a court of competent jurisdiction. So he have not been tried. But the question is, there's an accusation. And before now, he was equally arrested when the government equally accused him of forming a vigilante group, arming them without the consent of federal government. But at the point, the federal government will do the case. But currently, he's equally in custody. So, in as much as the governor of Anambra State is an Igbo man, of course, who want the best for his people, who will equally have some classified information that may not be available to the public, that may not be privy to. But I think the issue of insecurity is something that every hand must be on deck. And we must think out of the box. I'm particularly worried because the governors across board, all the state governors, when you talk of Nigerian Governors Forum, they have so much influence and power in Nigerian polity, in Nigerian system. And almost all the states, everybody have agreed that issue of insecurity is something that needs urgent attention. The question here is, why is all the governors not coming together to put necessary pressure on federal government to allow state police? Because to be quite honest with you, if you want to solve this problem, you must come down to the level of state policing or even local vigilante. But the only difference is they need to be armed. They need to be legalized. and the federal government need to give approval for their arm bearing. Because I understand that even in the past, under the last administration, there was so much effort, particularly from the late governor of Ondo State, may so rest in peace, talking about Akari Dolu, who was at the forefront of fighting for establishment of Amateku. And the challenge Amateku had then was the inability to bear arm. And Akari Dolu was then consistently challenging the government of Buhari then, that if you could allow civilian JTF and they not to bear arm, what now deters you from allowing Amateku? Of course, an agency of government created by Act of State House of Assembly in the southwestern part of the country. Because we are looking at a wider view, holistically, how this issue could be resolved. So for me, I understand that even in Delta State, we have seen series of activities of these militias as well. The other time, they were arrested or rather captured in Abraka. I think I did that content some time ago. So if, and I even learned that even in some part of Delta, there were moves by the same Fulani people to form vigilante, just like we saw what happened in the southeastern part of the country. Because feelers coming from Delta State already indicate that they are even making moves to form vigilante in Delta State. Another issue is this allegation that came from a monarch from the southeastern part of the country, alleging that the Fulanis are acquiring massive land in his jurisdiction. Though the other time I echo something like this, the reaction of people were, if they are actually acquiring the land legally, perhaps approaching the owners, paying for it and getting it, that it does not cause for alarm. I think that needs to be investigated. I think the monarch who is saying it need to actually clarify whether the land acquisition is by force or whether they're acquiring legally. Because if you give out your land legally, somebody pay for the land, of course, you cannot come back to start complaining that somebody is acquiring your land. So you must differentiate between whether somebody is occupying your land or the person paid for the land legally. Because if you, out of maybe quest for money or whatever, sell your land, it is immaterial of your opinion. It is irrespective of your opinion. It means you are willingly surrender the land to the person. So I think the monarch need to actually investigate to tell the world whether actually those Fulanis he claim are acquiring massive land in his jurisdiction are doing it illegally or the land is being sold to them by people from the region. Another issue has to do with the alarm raised by an organization, of course, that about 950 locations are currently occupied by bandits in the bushes across part of southeastern part of the country. I think that needs to be investigated by the authorities because it's an allegation, though the figure being mentioned is much, but important thing is the authorities need to investigate it to unravel the truth surrounding it. And again, looking at a wider view, sequel to the issue of insecurity, as it has to do with some part of the country where we often hear disaliving people, and the activities have to do with Fulani Militias, talking about maybe Plateau and Benue. The worrisome angle is the people affected, like the governor of Plateau State, made a very big allegation that this is genocide in nature. And since he made that allegation, I don't think anybody have come out to actually say he is wrong. And apart from that, those who perpetrated it, why is this taking so much to get them arrested and prosecuted to add deterrent to others? And another issue has to do with even when the president visited Benue State recently in the wake of the attack on Guma local government area of the Benue State, the monarch who spoke on behalf of the people equally insisted or rather maintained that what is happening is in Benue State is genocide in nature. That has nothing to do with herders, host community clashes, or the president attack. But the question here is, the authorities said they have made some arrests. Nigerians are waiting to see how those arrested will be prosecuted. But one thing is certain, if the arrest is made and they are prosecuted, of course, it will act as a deterrent to others. But if arrest is made and there is no prosecution, and perhaps the public is not aware of how the prosecution is going, I think it will not bring confidence. The people will not have confidence in the government, or rather the authorities, the prosecuting agency. So I think what the police need to do at this point is, in the process of prosecution, let them carry the public along. At every point in time where they need to give the public information with respect to proceedings, with respect to the progress they are making in terms of that prosecution, I think they should do it. It's a necessity. But what is certain, if it does that, it will build the public confidence in police. Because at the time we saw the Edo 16, the larger view was that the reason people could take laws into their hands is because they do not have confidence in the ability of the authorities, particularly the police. So that is why the police must do everything at every point in time to ensure that the public have confidence in them. Because, of course, they are the one, once anyone is arrested in the case of crime, whether allegation or whatever, they are the first point of call that you need to go and hand over the suspect to them, because they are the agency of government empowered to do investigation and prosecution. Let me quickly say that taking laws into one's hand is wrong by our standard, because that is the position of the law. You have no right to take law into your hand by disallowing somebody without prosecution. That is extrajudicial killing. But again, the authorities, particularly the police, need to build that confidence, need to carry the public along in any circumstance, so that that confidence can be there. So that anytime any suspect is arrested, anywhere, they will quickly remember, say, yes, the first point of call is police. And they will be assured that once the police take custody of the person, the police will do needful by actually doing a proper investigation, prosecuting the person to a logical conclusion, and even carrying the public along for them to know what is happening in the process of prosecution. I must say very thank you for your time. This is Mr.